Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, happy holidays, Black women around the world. Welcome to my channel. My name is Tony. I'm the Self-Care Maven, helping Black women over 40 look better, feel better without the pressure of other people's expectations, helping Black women opt out of burnout and living on the altar of other people's expectations, breaking the conditioning around what women are supposed to do, giving from a place of emptiness, giving our labor for free. We are opting out of that. So welcome to today. Today I'm going to be talking about, as usual, decolonized self-care, but also the reclamation process for 2026. Now, I feel like this is the perfect time because it's the holidays. It's that traditional time when women pour all this labor and resources into things other than themselves. And I need us to break that conditioning and break that abusive relationship we have with culture, society, and patriarchy, ladies. Because for 2026, Black women, we need to reclaim our labor, our energy, our resources, the time that we give an actual fuck. We need to reclaim that. We need to get back to gatekeeping. All of this is within the context of decolonized self-care. We live in a time when people are still thinking in their delusions that they're entitled to our labor, our resources, our knowledge, that we need to keep those gates wide open instead of gatekeeping our own sacred practices of renewal, of creating community and safety. All access for 2026 to our labor, to our resources, to our community, to our sacred ways of healing, renewal, in community, all access is revoked for 2026. I need you to embody that and walk in that as a Black woman in 2026 if you want to thrive and get out of survival mode. This is a season too. My understanding is that 2026 is the year of the snake, which is transformation as well. And this is our season to do this. This is our season to cut back from excess, decouple from materialism, decouple from consumerism, because all of these things are insidious ways that we as Black women and Black people have been drained of our resources and our labor. You'll hear it all over social media. Oh, Black people have X trillion spending power. But where is that spending power being directed towards? Is it being directed towards us, our communities, our safety, our own personal growth and development as people, as community? We historically know what has been done to our communities when they're thriving and outside of this dominant colonized culture's purview. We've seen it with Tulsa. We've seen it with other communities as recently as 80s when Black activists were bombed, literally bombed in country. And nobody gave a fuck. Okay, we don't have to go all the way back to Tulsa and all of these other communities that happened over 100 years ago. We're talking something as recently as the 80s, people. And we know what that looks like. We know what that looks like when we look at the trials and tribulations of Black farmers, even in 2025. It wasn't until under the Biden administration that any form of justice was given to Black farmers in their suits against the FDA and the USDA for discrimination and all of these ugly practices that, were perpetrated against them. So that aside, today we're talking Black women, and we're talking about Black women thriving for 2026 and reclaiming our energy, our resources, ourselves, our autonomy as Black women. Because when you are giving away pieces of yourself and allowing unconditional access to us, to our spaces, to our communities, that's extraction, that's colonization. And it's time to opt into decolonized self-care, where we reclaim and reintegrate our parts of ourselves and our ways of being. And it's important for Black women coming up on 2026 in order to thrive and get beyond survival mode, because we know more ish is coming down the channels with this current administration here in the US of A. And so what that process is going to look like, we're going to make those discussions off platform, because we know in order to, part of the gatekeeping process is not give everyone access to our discussions, our community, and what we're talking about. I've spoken this before when it comes to decolonized self-care. I never speak in specifics on even this platform regarding what those decolonized processes intrinsically look like, because I recognize that certain demographics believe that they are entitled to access every space, even though it's not theirs. And I'm here to say boldly, with a huge fuck you, that is not the case. This is a channel for Black women. It's fine if you are a real ally. You can tune in to this, what you're seeing right now. But in terms of the inner workings of what I go through and the details I go through with Black women on one-on-one basis and collectively in our intensives, where we discuss and create a blueprint for each individual Black woman's specific situation and what decolonized self-care would look like for her, I do that off platform, and I do that very deliberately. Now, I will talk about it in general terms here. It is a reclamation process. It's an integration process. It is completely different from the colonized conventional form of self-care that is being marketed to everybody and their mama. That is not for us. If you look at the ambassadors for that version of self-care, very few of them look like us. And there's a reason for that. It's not for us. You go into a lot of these spaces that are supposed to be for wellness, you won't find us there. And that's because they limit access to us coming into those spaces, and it's for a reason. And that's why I always say, if you are the only Black person in that space, you better run. Just like the movie Get Out, you better do a reading of the room and really rethink why you're in that space. Because it's definitely not a safe space for you, and it's definitely not going to nurture and heal you on a fundamental level. That's what our spaces, indigenous spaces, are for. If you look at a lot of the wellness in so-called self-care packages that have been created by conventional capitalistic forms of self-care that's being sold and marketed online just about on every platform, if you're paying attention, you will notice the indigenous ancestral theft that is rampant in that version. And there is a connection. There is a connection. It's a culture and practice of theft, indigenous theft, from across the globe. And how can you honestly think something that is so divested from its ancestral way of being, from its true meaning and intention, how do you think that's going to heal you in any real way? I'll leave you to answer that. But at the end of the day, Black women, welcome to the reclamation process for 2026, where Black women reclaim and reintegrate themselves for 2026 so that they can get beyond survival, so that we can thrive. And that's going to look different for a lot of us in different ways. But as a collective, this is the season for us to reclaim and reintegrate our traditional ways of healing and being. We are opting out of the rat race and the matrix, and we are reclaiming our ways of healing, nurturing, and being so that we can thrive in 2026. Your mantra for 2026 needs to be thrive in 2026. I need Black women to start gatekeeping, skincare, all of those practices, and bringing back and reintegrating that into what we do as a people, what we have learned and what we have gathered and what we remember from our ancestral ways, and beginning to reintegrate and recontextualize those practices for what they were truly intended for, and which was to help us embody who we are always meant to be. We are the blueprint. Black women are the blueprint. And in order to live and embody that, we have got to reclaim our sacred ways of healing and being and gatekeep all of that. And that starts with things like setting boundaries. Even at the cellular level, the body understands the need for boundaries. That's why you have cell walls. Do you know that your cell walls are chemicals and particles that act as gatekeepers, even in your body? So why would you think that at this level, we don't need to set boundaries and protect? Gatekeeping is a way of protecting and creating safety for us to heal, nurture, communicate, and also share collective healing knowledge and practices. And we've got to reclaim that as Black women and revoke access to our labor, to our knowledge, to our sacred ways of being. 2026, we are thriving as Black women. And that's my message to you today. Happy holidays. Have a great rest of the year. And thank you for tuning into my another Vlogmas episode. I know I got into the whole Vlogmas Christmas video trend, but in the spirit of that, that's why I'm sharing this knowledge with you. That's why I'm sharing this video with you. Black women thriving in 2026 needs to be our mantra, and we need to embody that, where we are collectively engaging in decolonized self-care. And decolonized self-care is a very intensive and internal process, even though it manifests in the physical as well as in the environmental realm. So I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you for tuning in. Till next time, I'm Tonya, the self-care maven, helping Black women over 40 look better, feel better, and get off the altar of other people's expectations and decenter patriarchy and all of its isms. Till next time.